Good morning, Rabbi Sai. First of all, Mazal Tov to all the Mesaymim of Bava Basra. I arrived yesterday in the evening directly from London, and the day before Manchester, Stamford Hill. Beautiful, beautiful siyumim we had over there. 200 people in Manchester, 400 people in London, 100 people, I would say, in Stamford Hill, 700 people more that I shook hands with and said hello and heard all the interesting stories. I will share with you, Be'ezer Hashem, when I remember them. It's a tremendous accomplishment, finishing Bava Basra, finishing Masechta. Today, we're embarking on a journey. It's going to be Geshmak. It happens to be the longest Masechta in Shas. I realize we're going to finish this Masechta Be'ezer Hashem right before Chanukah, the week of Chanukah, like it's in a few weeks of Chanukah, so it is a half a year. I want to say Shalom Aleichem to all the new guys. There are a lot of new guys. I'm not exactly sure with the English-speaking Chevra. I know it's over 1,000 new people joined up for the English. And even more impressive is the number of people that joined for the Hebrew Shir. 2,200 new people for the Hebrew Shir. Yeah, people that joined in and signed up and gave their names and are on WhatsApp groups. It's one mishpacha, English, Hebrew, and Be'ezer Hashem, each and every one of these people should continue and finish the Masechta together and finish Shas together. As we do, the minhag is, especially for all these new people, Be'ezer Hashem, there'll be more English-speaking people joining than the Hebrew. It only makes sense because we have more English-speaking people now, more people recruiting. So we have to talk about some of the basic rules and ideas. Many of you have been through all of it many times, but it's kedai to do chazar. You're not going to hear from me for half a year. It's kedai because there are still people within the group that argue with some of these yisoidas, and I have to prove them wrong time and time again. I don't like being right all the time. So I'll say it once. A lot of people, when you go to recruit, you go to tell somebody, hey, let's do the daf. So they tell you all these different excuses, and a lot of the excuses, a lot of them are legit. They have good bases. And you have to know what to answer. Not everything has an answer. Some of the tainas are good, but a lot of times it comes from a bad place, the wrong place. So anyway, these are the real tainas that you have against doing the daf. Since you go very fast, that's the second thing. You go very, very fast, and you don't really retain much. And the truth is, if we're going to talk about why it's not such a taina, it's true that you don't retain all that much unless you're a big Balkishan, you have a tremendous memory. But when we get to see the Yisoidus and the Musagim over and over, then it becomes part of you. You might not retain it the first day, but then you hear it again. Now we know what Trumas and Maisis are. Now we know Tumat Tahara. We know all these Yisoidus. And sometimes the charts help a lot, as we've seen, just showing a picture, or you remember a halacha through a picture. A lot of people, and this is a big one, most of us went to yeshiva, and in yeshiva the style is very different. Learn Be'iyon, for instance, in my yeshiva where I learned Bava Basra, we didn't get out of this box. You see this box that says a shutfim? It took us 3 months to get out of that box. Why does it say ha with the hey? That was 6 weeks. Etc., etc. So, I just made that up. But it's a certain style. And I learned in Kalev for 6 years, and the style continues. and you hear different remarks. 3 in Eretz Yisrael, 3 in America, total of 6. And you hear this over and over. And the Reshivas knock a little bit. This for not even Balabatim, the simple about. So anyways, it comes to a point where people, and I meet people all the time, and they tell me, it's funny how in their head, they're big learners, and they learn a lot. Just they happen not to learn at all. But in their mind, they think their mom is steiging away because 10 years ago they were in yeshiva steiging away. And we say, let's do the daf. No. Daf's not for me. It has to be be'iyun. Nusa, do you learn iyun? No, that also not. When I learn, it's be'iyun. So the message is, Rabbi Yisai, it's very possible that iyun is the right way to go. But we are, b'derech klal balabatim. Besides, we have Rosh Koil here and guys from Koil and all. But the hamoinam, talking about balabatim, people that work, it's very difficult to learn be'iyun and to find the kvios of Daf Yomi, the learning every day, which I'll go into. Now, a lot of times people say, I miss a day here, I miss a day there, so I'm not going to be able to make a siyum, and that puts me down. I get depressed. I give up. So, let me talk about the pros of Daf Yomi. I saw people started stealing. I need to put my foot down. This is my line, and you're allowed to use it, but you have to give me credit for it. It's not the daf, it's the yomi. It's not the daf, it's the yomi means that just like you put on tefillin every single day, I hope, most of us, because the shir does include all types of people, even people that are unaffiliated, some of them are not even Jewish. I met somebody in London with a hat and jacket who's in the process of becoming a ger, but he does the daf. So try to put on tefillin every day. You know that's important every day. You have to understand that learning torah is even more important. And there shouldn't be a day of vacation. We were on vacation. I just came back from Italy and London. Sometimes you come back from a trip, whatever, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. You haven't learned that day. Thank you. You haven't learned. What? That entire day, says the Rosh Koilel. There are people that go on vacation. It's very, very. You go on a Friday. You go on a trip, and you run back right before Shkia, and you forget to learn. When you have the Daf Yomi, it keeps you grounded. You have to do that daf. You have to learn that day, and you have to learn every day. Yantif, Ben Zmanim, Chalamayit, and all that. So that's the Maila of the daf. One of the only programs that I know of. There are other programs, and the very good programs. That each program has a Maila and a Chesar. But the Daf Yomi is the most consistent program that I'm aware of, and that is one of the biggest things as a Yid. You have to learn Torah every day. And here comes the biggest secret of all. It took years to develop this and to realize this. As a perfectionist, and I'm sure there are many perfectionists out there, and they feel that if you're learning a Masechta with 175 dafim, and you miss one daf, it's all over. You give up. Because if you don't finish the entire Masechta, daf for daf, how can you make a siyum chas v'shalom? It's asur, which is not true, but that's the feeling. And what's going to happen is, and it happens all the time, you miss a daf. You miss it. You had to go to a wedding, and your own kid is getting married, and sometimes you get the flu, whatever it is, you're going to miss a daf. So then what? That's where the Yitzhar steps in, because everybody comes in with enthusiasm. It's the beginning of the Masechta, and I want to do this. I heard so much about the Daf Yomi, and I'm going to finish Shas. And not only that, I'm going to take upon myself another 2 Masechtas on the side. I'm going to catch up. I'll make the Siyum Shas. I'm going to start in Bava Basra and make the Siyum Shas with everybody. Get all excited. And then that one day that you can't do the Daf, and then the next day you have 2 Daf to do. Become overwhelmed, and before you know it, you're in a hole of 3 Daf, 4 Daf, 7 Daf, and then you say, I give up. The trick is, Rabbi Yisai, after arguing with many people and always showing them that they're wrong, the trick is you must skip the dafim that you missed. If you missed 7 daf, like Robert Early, after sitting Shiva on his son that was killed in Gaza, he came the next day, he skipped the 7 daf, he came in and he started learning. That's the way to continue, and that's why he's still here every day. And then, Right before, I didn't even ask him, but I guarantee you he made up those 7 daf, because that's how it is. Eventually you make them up, you write down inside your Gemara what you missed. The trick is, again, skip today, make up later, and that way you're with everybody on the daf, and your perfectionism will be healed at a different time, and everything is good. Again, from experience and from receiving probably thousands of letters, I have in my house alone printed over 1,000 different letters from people. If you want to see piles and piles of letters, and the overwhelming thing that you hear from people is how the daf has changed their life, specifically in this year, with all the stories and the jokes and the musar and the hashkafa and pointing out relevant things to the day. It changes your life in a very significant way. Daf Yomi, the shir will change your life, guaranteed. There's still one guy in Manchester that argues, and he argued with me when I was in Manchester. But his son came over to me in Manchester and says, I don't want to say this in front of my father, but my father's a changed man. There's a guy sitting right here yesterday. You can look it up on the Hebrew shir. He's wearing a red shirt in Avi's seat. He came over to me after she's a big Balkishan, very big Balkishan. He's wearing a leather yarmulke. He knows how to learn like crazy. He came over to me and he said, I want to tell you how the daf changed my life. A year ago, you said in shir that you're not supposed to learn ben gavra legavra. So I want to tell you, I take a chumash, I don't take any svarim, and I sit there ben gavra legavra and I look, I don't speak to anybody and I don't learn. I was makabel on myself. I saw it in shir and I'm makabel that halacha. That's how it changed my life. Each person takes another halacha, another thing, another something, not to speak during Kaddish, whatever it is. Small changes. It doesn't mean that you're going to grow 6 inches and you're going to get muscular. It means an inside change, being more makbid on certain things, changing their life. And finally, discuss this, but this big thing about learning be'iyun, which is a big thing that I hear from so many people when I speak to them, yeshibisha b'nei torah, who go out to work. They have this, I call it a juk. They must only learn be'iyun. It's all or nothing. And the problem with that is that it's very, very difficult to find consistency with iyun. To find a chavrusa that comes every single night, and to have, you have a chasana, he has a bar mitzvah. So you learn, it turns out instead of learning every night, it's 3 times a week. To have the mind for it, after a long day of work, and traveling and all these other things. That's why. I'm not arguing with the idea of iyun. I'm just saying that sometimes iyun doesn't work for everybody, especially balabatim on a day-to-day basis. And I want to introduce to you a new thing that we haven't spoken about, but I think it's very relevant and very important. And Be'ezer Hashem, it's going to be a big part of MDY, and you could start it today. I've been doing it with Noam Fix for exercise, and I think it really works, and it's the buddy system. If you're starting today, I highly recommend you get one friend or something that's doing the daf, or the guy that recruited you to the daf, and all you need to do is, at the end of the day, you write one word, done. And he holds you accountable, you hold him accountable, a buddy system. And this could get you through. And when you don't say done, he'll call you up the next day and know what happened to the daf, and give you chizuk and bring you through it. Because unfortunately not everybody is able to come to the shir live or whatever. Buddy system is highly recommended. It's going to be integrated into our website and into our apps, and you're going to hear more about it. But I really think it's a very, very important part of the daf. So here we have, it's not about the daf, it's about the yomi. Guaranteed you become a better person, husband, 100%. You become a better everything. I'm not going to go through all these different things, but I'll say this. We just made a siyum on Masechtas Bava Metzia. It was 118 daf. Bava Basra is 165. 175. Sorry, 175. It's a half a year. Mamash a half a year. But you should know that in terms of the amount of words in the Masechta, there's only 2,500 word difference. And according to the Chavetz Chaim, you could say 200 words a minute. So I did the math. There's a 12-minute difference between Bava Metzia and Bava Basra. That was a joke. But the dapim are much shorter and very, very gishmak. It happens to be the Masechta that Yoshi, our artist, loves the most. He has a connection to it, and Be'ez Hashem, it's going to show up in the drawings and in all the art, even the 3D animation he's in charge of. 7.5 years ago, I made a big siyum on Bava Basra in my house. You guys were there, and it was probably the biggest siyum I ever made in terms of the amount of food. It was crazy. 6 quart, you remember that? It was out of control. I didn't say it at the siyum because I'm a shtickle onav, but it happens to be that I made it. The reason why I made such a big siyum is because I finished Bava Basra 20 times then. 20 times. And I'm saying it now. Maybe a few people knew I didn't say it at the siyum. I'm saying it now because as I'm learning this first daf, I realized I don't remember a single word. That's the brain that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me. It could be a tremendous chisaron, it could be a maila. You know, it's all geshmak and new. Wow, what a good tzvara. Never seen this thing before. Certain things pop in here and there. It's like, you know, it's a little familiar. The point is that everybody's born with a maila and a chisaron, a lot of mailas, a lot of chisaronas, and with that poor memory and everything, you go weiter. And without zitzfleish, you go weiter. So, and one other small ha'ara, the longest parsha in the Torah is Nasa. It has 176 psukim. The longest kapitel Tehillim has 176 psukim. And if you look over here, it says Kuf Ayin Vav. The only problem is Kuf Ayin Vav really means 175. Not 100, so we're off by 1. But with that being said, let's jump into it. And it happens to be one, I'll just say this again, I'm going to keep on pounding this because I know people hear it, goes in one ear, another ear. Maybe somebody will listen, maybe it's kedai. If you have the chance and you pause right now, put it on your status, make that phone call, bring another Yita Torah. It's not enough that over 3,000 people joined the 2 shiurim. We need more. There's many people out there, and I'm going to use this pasuk again. Al tamoid adam riyacha. You see a guy having a heart attack in the middle of the street, you stop and you give him CPR. You see the guy next to you in shul that hasn't opened up a sefer in a bunch of years, has no connection to Torah. You stop and you give him CPR. It's embarrassing, but you do it once and you'll be addicted to it because the guy will thank you over. And the person I think about all the time is Donnie Fine, who's sitting in the back. He keeps on sending me these different remarks that people tell him, hey, because of your status 2 years ago, you should know I haven't missed the daf in 2 years. People send him this stuff all the time, right, Donnie? All the time. You don't know. You're not going to hear from anybody. You put on your stat. You're not going to hear from the guy. All of a sudden, he wakes up when he chaps. He just made a see him, and he thinks, wait a minute, where did I? Oh, it was Donnie. You put it out there. You don't know whose life you're going to change. It's Pashut life changing. So why not? What do you have to lose? So a couple non-Jews on your status will see it as embarrassing. You put it on anyway. Boys say, let's get into it. There's no other reason why people don't do it. I don't know why.
Non-Jews don't have WhatsApp.
Non-Jews don't have WhatsApp. It's owned by Jews and run by Jews. Zok the Gemara. Says the Mishnah. Sponsors. We do sponsors here. Forgot about that one. I received some Meshugana emails, some of the better ones, but we're going to read them tomorrow. The Masechta renewed, because it's a new Masechta. For the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. You missed this, Nachman, huh? You missed this.
As long as the Masechta.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't really matter. The introduction, if we don't finish today's daf, we have 175 days to make it up. We will catch up. We have people that are worried about not reaching the thing, and we're here for 5 years, and they're always worried we might not be on the daf. And guess what? We're on Daf Beis. You know this the Magichur in Chicago. He's like 40 daf behind every time. It's bemis. But I always bring you. I never let you wrong. Okay. The Masechta is sponsored, renewed for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. But Rabbi say, I have a good feeling that from now on, Matzah Shabbos, We're going to see one of these guys. I don't remember. Somebody was attacking one of them. Was it you? How come I don't see him? What's a Shabbos? You ruin it for me. I'm like, it's hard for me to get. No. You got to be. Can't. It's you two. The three of you. These three guys. I'm not coming. Really. Liluy Zechariah ben Moshe. Liluy Zechariah ben Yosef. Lirfua Shleima Neftalli Herz ben Leah. Hidden tzadik in our generation. Refuat hanefesh and guf for Bina bat Miriam, Baila, Netanel, Kalev, Bracha bat Breina, Bina. Moe Landy, Liluy Moshe ben Shmuel Yehuda, the Mashgiach of torah v'das. Shavua, L'schus Refuat shel Yisrael ben Shendel, fellow MD Wire, the one who brought me to the Daf. Jack and Fegi Warman, L'zeich Nishmas, Aaron David ben Yisrael Blabstein. Benyamin Hekmati. Listen to this, Rabbi Yisai. To my daughter, Emunah Rifka Bat Benyamin on her first yard site. Only 20. Love you. Miss you. Parnas Hayoim. David Feinberg. On 2 occasions. Bava Basra. And second, the milestone. This last week, we did 60% of Shas. 60% of this cycle as of last week. Shkoyach Reb David. Hashutvin. Shirotzu Lasois Mechitza B'Chotzer. You have partners, the shear yard. You have this also here in Eretz Yisrael. You have it in America. People have yards, go from one to the other. Shirotzu Lasois Mechitza B'Chotzer. They want to make a mechitza. So what is a mechitza? Even in America, we call it a mechitza. In the ladies section, there's a mechitza. So the Gemara is going to discuss exactly what is it. What's the purpose of it? Is it a very sturdy wall? Is it to prevent passage from one to the others, to prevent seeing into the other chatzar? Makes a difference. Boinin is a koisel be'emtza. So you build a wall between to divide. I will say this, that when I finished the Mishnah last night in the Shir, like, wow, this is the Mishnah that I remember in Yeshiva, I was famished. The gvil, the gozes, I didn't know it was flying. And it's very simple and very clear. And we had 2 Hasidim here, and one came over to me and says, I learned in Panovich. And I never understood the way I understood tonight. You made it mamish simple and a whole. Okay, so it is. It's a very, very simple Mishnah. I'll throw in a story, why not? The famous story, but it's kedai to hear it again. Hanan Yitzhalak, the guy that's, I remember him from when I was a kid in Ramat al-Hanan. He lived in Ramat al-Hanan and he started an organization, Ezem Etzion. And today it's a huge organization that helps the sick. And he was at the Kaisel with a very wealthy person and they saw Yerushalmi Yid crying away at the Kaisel. So Hanan turned to the Gvir and said, listen, it can be one of 2 things. Either somebody's very sick or he needs money. So listen, if somebody's very sick, I'll take care of everything. And if the guy needs money, you take care. You say, okay, fine. They go over to him. Hanani says, Yid, what's the problem? It's a chayla in the mishpacha. He says, no. So the Gvir says, what, you need money? Like, no, it's on him. You need money? He says, no. Yesterday I married off my 13th child. I came to give thanks to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You can do that also. It's even more chashiv to give thanks. How does it have to do with Bava Basra? HaKaisel.
Welcome back.
Love it.
Welcome back.
Okay, Mokum Shinagu live my skill. These guys are tough. It's Pasha tough. You should know that there are people out there that want to jump through the screen and grab you by the neck. You got to be careful. Realize it's so simple. Look at this. Look at this picture. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all you have to remember. The Mishnah starts 6, 5, 4, 3. It goes in order. It's very simple. The one that's 4 over there is a sandwich. There is a brick that's 1.5 tefachim wide and 1.5 tefachim wide, and you can see there's a line of cement down the middle. that's kfisin. We had a lot of things. We had a little bit of an introduction at the end of Bava Basra. So if, let's say I tell you that you have to build a 4 tfachim wall, and 4 divided by 2 is how much? 2. Oh, that's the whole Mishnah, or a big part of it. Or 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. 6 divided, that's it. Okay, so now let's see. Mogim shenahagu livno is gvil, which is 6. Gozes, which is 5. Kfisim, which is 4. Levainin, which is 3. Boinim, we have a nice animation here. Check this out. This is the stones that are not. Here we go. Levainim. 6, 5. You want to see it again here because it goes that the ones that are 6 is because they're a little rough on the edges, so they take up more room. Here we go. These are the rough ones, and it becomes a little smoother and becomes a little thinner. That's 5. This is 4 with the cement in between, and this is 3. That's why. That's wow. Here we go. I call community, and this is what happened here, and it continues. Here we go. We haven't been on top of him, so you forgot the tchelas and the yarmulke. Okay. Now, if you look on the bottom, this is a Beis Shar. We're going to talk about it in the Gemara. This round thing is part of the Gemara. That's why it's there. So, I called Kiminig Medina. Say this, I said this, but there's a bunch of new guys, so I'll say it for them. There was a wall dividing the Gan Eden and Gehenim, and the wall fell down. So they wanted to rebuild the wall, but the guys in Gehenim, they put up a fight. They said, look, there's a nice breeze coming in from Gan Eden. We like the smell, the air. We don't want to put it up. So he said, what do you mean you want to put it up? You got to put it up. So they said, no. So Gan Eden said, okay, so we'll sue you. So the guys from Gehenim said, what do you mean you're going to sue us? All the lawyers are by us.
All the Tayans are Gan Eden. All the Tayans are Gan Eden.
So now if we go back, I'm not even going to remark on that because I'm not so maskim.
You know maskim?
The Tayans
are.
He's not so maskim. He's not so maskim.
Sorry.
Oh, that's what you meant? Oh, okay. You're also not maskim. Okay, I don't want to say. There's Tayanim that are great. There's people I know. Gvil. So if you're talking about Gvil, which is all the way on the left, it's 6. What's nice and over here? Just the ha'ara that you shouldn't be amaretz. We're not talking about the stone. The stone is 6. It's not that I give 3, you give 3. You're giving from your property. We're talking about the property. Each person has to give 3 of his own property because it's 6 tfachim wide. Because it's 5, so each one gives 2.5 of his property. That's 4. Each one gives 2 tfachim. Bileveinim, stones, bricks. Since it's 3, each one gives half, 1.5 tfachim of the stone. Interesting Rishash here that says that it depends. We should also go by the relative to the size of the yard. So if you have a 100-foot yard and he has a 10-foot yard, he should give 90%, you should give 10%, but la halacha, they don't pass like the Rishash. Leficha, therefore, if the wall falls down, we'll see what the chiddush is. If it falls down, since they both built it on their own property, each one gave towards this wall half of the property, each one gets his property back plus half of the material. Everything, yeah. This is a lot of things that you're going to ask. What's the chiddush? V'chein, what? They have to do, we'll see what the reason is. Is one person involved, 2 people. Why do we build a wall? It'll become a little bit more clear. V'chein begina. And the same thing if you have a garden. Garden, you don't have that much. It's not like your chutzner where you're doing private things. There's vegetables there, but the same halacha applies. We're going to see why. Magim shenagu ligdar mechayven oisai. Magim shenagu ligdar mechayven oisai. If that's the minhag amakim, so we're mechayev you whatever the minhag is. Taisus just points out here. If you want to see like the last line where it becomes right before it becomes wide, so it says v'nirul Rabbeinu Tam. The Daf Kibbutz of the Gemara is going to tell us that the Chiddush, what's the Makom, what's this Chiddush that it goes by the Minhag Makom. So this is a very interesting thing here. That the least you could put up is Hutza V'Dafna, some sort of thorns, whatever. Then he goes on to say, let's say a plastic bag. Let's say the Minhag, the Makom is to put up a piece of plastic. With these cheap things that they sit out in the sun for a few days and they deteriorate. Even if that's a minhag makom, we could completely ignore it because it's a minhag of shaitim. So it's an interesting thing. Like you could completely disregard a dumb minhag, so to speak. Okay, fine. Avol bebika, if it's just a valley, makom shenagu shleilig dori mechayiv noisef. The makom is not to make a offense. We cannot be mechayiv you. And we have to see why could you be mechayiv, not be mechayiv. Elam ratza, but let's say you insist on putting up a wall. Then do it on your property and build. So here's a chazis. It could be a chazis. I think this is a little exaggerated. A chazis means, let's say this is the wall. So what you're doing is you're putting some sort of stone to demark your side and to show that you're the one that built the wall. So you put like another layer, it like protrudes outside. So now if the wall falls down, everybody knows you're the one that erected this wall. And maybe you get all the material and everything. And the real estate as well. Voice chazes, it's a siman mibachutz. Leficha, im nafal hakoisel, if the wall falls down, hamakim va'avanim shaloi. Then all the stones and the real estate is yours. And the second guy who claims that half of it is his, we don't trust him at all. Im masu midashnein. What if they both agreed to build a wall? Again, not a big chiddush here, you would think. They build a wall smack in the middle of both of their properties. And they put up this simon, whatever it is. Where was it? There was something else that he put here. Like a red line on the bottom. Oh, here's the simon. Okay. Now the question that's being begged to be asked over here is, if two people build a wall in partnership, why do they both have to make a simon on both sides? Just leave the simon out of it. Don't put a simon and it's both of theirs automatically. If there's a simon, it's the person that has the simon. And if there's no simon, then it's both of theirs. Okay. Gemara will discuss. Leficha, therefore, since they built it in a partnership, then the stones and the real estate is both of theirs. Anybody here with me that this is like a simple Mishnah? Yet in yeshiva we thought it was complicated? Anybody? You didn't? What? It's a toisus. Yes, the raid is complicated. Says the Gemara, yeah, but machmas, all the raid, like it just seemed like the Mishnah was heavy. Savrua, we thought, my mechitza guda. Very, very simple sugi also. What's going on here? What's this mechitza and what's the purpose of the mechitza? And let's see if we can figure out the wording. So basically we have two lashonis over here. So the simple way of reading it, and that's how everybody reads it, is a mechitza means a wall. You're putting up a wall, some sort of fence, a wall. Guda. Kidesanya, as we learned. Mechitza sakerem shenifritza. Oimer loi gedar. Oh. Givaldik. So we're learning about Kilei HaKerem. So you cite in the Torah, which means as follows. The Torah says that it's also to plant grapes together with wheat. There's a shita that says this is the Dairaisa, everything else is not. Some say it's Chamesh Saminim, vegetables. The point is, we're going to be talking about what's in the pasuk, the grapes with the wheat. Now, this is to plant them next to each other together. You have to distance the grapes from the wheat 4 amas. 4 amas is the amount of room that you need to work around your grapes. The wheat doesn't need it as much. But if you're planting them very close to each other, if you build a wall, it's not also. Now, what happens if the wall falls down? Whose responsibility is it? You think both. But it's not both of their responsibility, it's one of theirs. Whose? The grape guy. Why? Because the 4 amas that we give is for the grapes, not for the wheat. So the guy from the wheat tells the grape guy, listen, rebuild the wall. If you don't rebuild it, my wheat will become aser. What do I have to do with the wheat that becomes aser? Pen tigdash, and we learn tukad eish. Eish, you got to burn it. It's worthless. So I come to him and I say, build a wall. Listen to this chiddush atzam, tremendous chiddush Rabbi Yisai. If in his mind, like all of Yiddishkeit, Shalom Aleichem Rev Melech, he's back. He flew into London. I think I'm going to say he didn't tell me. I'm going to say it's for the siyum. I see him back here today. It's for the siyum. Schlepped Sfarim for the Olam over there. Shkoyach. We had a few people that flew in from Eretz Yisrael. There was a bacher. I forgot to show him to you. A bacher that comes at the night shir. He told me I'm coming in for the siyum, and he came. I forgot his name though. You know his name? I have a picture. What's his name? Belefeld. Comes every night. How old is he? 19? No. He's less than 19 years old. Yeah, unbelievable. We have the guy from Bitar, Mordechai came in. We had Yossi Saunders came in. I know I'm missing somebody, but okay.
I emailed you Matzah Shabbos instead of coming.
What?
I emailed you Matzah Shabbos.
I didn't, because of I didn't have to go back on a lot of the emails. Sorry. And he made us proud. He answered the answer there and in Rabbin. Okay, Givaldik. So, listen to this chiddush. You would think that if the wheat grows together with the grapes, the wheat becomes aser. No. If I intend on fixing the wall, it's not aser. It only becomes aser when I decide I don't want to fix the wall. In my mind, I could change the halacha. If I want to fix the wall, even though it grows together, I'm going to fix the wall. As soon as I say to myself, I won't fix the wall, then if 1/200th grew, then it's aser. So what's 1/200th? It's interesting. According to the Rambam, it's a unit of time, not of growth. In other words, if it takes 100 hours to rat, the wheat to rat, so how many half hours are there in 100 hours? 200. So in a half hour, it becomes aser. From the time he decides, I'm not building this wall, half hour later, boof. That's if it takes 100 hours to rat. If it takes 1,000 hours, whatever. Everybody do the math. Oh, you mean how much of the field? I guess whatever's next to it, the dalaramas or whatever. But it's a good question. I don't think you have to do the whole field. Savrua mai mechitza guda. Oh, so here we have a raya that the word mechitza means a wall. Why? Because it says mechitzas hakerim shenifritza. Oh, it says mechitza. And what are we talking about? This wall. Oh, so mechitza means a wall. Shenifritza that fell. Oimer lo gedar, the guy from the wheat tells him you must fix it. Chazar v'nifritza. Then if it fell down again, Oimer lo gedar, it says the second time. Nisiyah shemeno daf Beis Amud Beis. Who's the sponsor?
The last day for innovations. We have a new exciting one for tomorrow.
We have a new exciting Rabbi Yisai. Stay tuned for the most exciting turning of the daf sponsor. But today we want to say tremendous shkoyach, and the guy is unbelievable, and he's be'etzem going to help us with. I spoke to Fischel. He volunteered to help introduce and get going this the buddy system and anything that's related to that. So Kinnovations LLC, Yeshkoyach, schus for my son Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga, and that Salah's wife that got very sick at childbirth and she needs a refuah Shlema. What's her name? Akash Baruch knows the name. After 30 days we should know. And that's Lana, but I don't want to mess it up again. That's okay. Nisiyah shemeno. If the person gives up on the wall, v'loy gadra, and he doesn't fix it, hareze kidesh, he made the weed aser, v'chayev b'achariyusa, and he must pay for the weed. As Taisvis, the second Tais is a beautiful question that we have to ask. You can't see the hezek. It's not burnt wheat. It's a halacha. There's klei hakerem in the wheat. You can't see it. It's like chametz, the Pesach that went through Pesach. You don't see it. Says Tais, it's not like chametz. Near Lari, the high choshev has a nikkur, shari nikkur hu shu klayim kisharoyak fun basada. When you see the grapes right there next to the wheat, that is nikkur, tremendous chiddush. It's not in the wheat, it's in the situation. I thought you'd appreciate it, that one. Time of the Ratzu, says the Gemara, it seems like because they both want to make a mechitza, both of them. Halei Ratzu, what if they don't want to make the mechitza? Just one of them wants a mechitza, I cannot force you to make a wall. Alma, and here's the key word today, Hezek Ria Lav Shmei Hezek. Hezek Ria, Musik and Shas, means damage through looking. Seems like Hezek Ria is not a Hezek. Why? If it's considered a real damage, I am damaging you by looking into your window, then I should have the right to demand a wall here. I can force you to build a wall. Since we share a yard, and I like to sunbathe in my backyard, and I don't want you looking at me, I could force you to build a wall. But I cannot force you. Why? How do I know? Because it says, Ratzu, both have to agree. So obviously, there's no issue of Hezek Ria. That's this lashon. The second lashon I'm going to say, you see from the Mishnah that Hezek Ria, Shmei Hezek, that it's a problem. Says Gemara, who told you that the word mechitza means a wall? Ve'ema mechitza plukta. Maybe it means to divide. There's a division going on here. Kidduch, like it says in the pasuk, there's the half of the nation. So it's a lashon of division, not of a wall. Maybe that's why we call it a mechitza and there's this lashon. Now I'm confused myself. Maybe it doesn't mean a mechitza, it means to divide the women from the men. Maybe. Now, since we're dividing, even though you don't agree to it, I am forcing you to do it. Alma hezek ria, shmei hezek. From here you see that perhaps the opposite. Hezek ria is a big hezek. Reb Zilshtein Lamashal says, interesting, you wouldn't think this. When, especially in Eretz Yisrael, for whatever reason, the ambulance doesn't have tinted windows. So a guy has a heart attack. A woman is going, she's in labor. She's inside the ambulance, and you stare at the ambulance, you look inside. He says, since Hezek Ria Shmei Hezek, it's also what you're doing. You're causing damage to another person. Now, she cannot demand the cash from you, but you're causing her damage. You shouldn't be looking. That's what he says. He uses ambulance as an example, or looking at somebody's window, whatever it is, you're causing damage. When I did renovation here in Eretz Yisrael, so my very chashuv neighbor came over and he says, listen, I would appreciate if you take out those windows from your rooms, because they're facing my porch. You're going to see what's going on my porch. I said, yeah, but right now I have windows on my other floor that are facing. No, but it's, now you're above. Okay, I took them out. I don't have windows on that side. It's not a big deal. But that's what he was claiming. He was claiming a Hezek Ria. Ve'ema, sorry, Ihachi, but let's see how it fits into the lashon of the Mishnah. This is technical stuff, just to see how the wording fits here. You're telling me that I'm forcing you to build a mechitza because you're causing me damage. Why does it say they wanted to make a wall? They wanted to divide. Elamai, so what are you going to say? Guda means a wall. So then why does the Mishnah repeat itself? If you look at the first line in the Mishnah, it says, when I said that story about the kaisel, that's why one of the reasons I said it to you, remember, it's on the first line of the Mishnah. They're building a wall. And then the Mishnah repeats itself, that the building of mechitza, the building a wall, you already said that we're building a wall. So what should it say? That wall, that kaisel that's mentioned in the first line, that's what we're building. Why do you have to repeat it? Says the Gemara, no, that's not a great raya. Yitana Oisa, if it would just say it, you should build it. Havamina b'mesipas ba'alma. This is mesipas, let's say, not the greatest. There's even a little bit l'chumra, but this would be mesipas. Like demarcation, you put a couple of sticks there, pegs, whatever it is, to show the difference. If you're just dividing a chatzar in half. Kamash malon, kaisel, no, you have to build a wall. But it's a kaisel ben. So nusugi Rabbi say, pshita. What else? What, you think that one of the two has to volunteer his land? Obviously, if you're building a wall, it has to be on both of their lands. They have to give equally. One of them was the one convincing the other one, listen, it'll be better for both of us if we build a wall. I'm thinking now, because I was in Noam Fix's house a lot of times, and between the neighbors, this is like this little flimsy thing, and all of a sudden, like while we're eating there, and all of a sudden the neighbors start coming over. Like, so sometimes you could say, hey, maybe we should build a higher wall, something, barbed wire, something that you can't really just. The other was stepping over without no knock, nothing. Shalom Aleichem, here I am. Me, my kid, we're trying to have a conversation. No. So, Matzi Amar Lei. One convinced the other. Ma'al the same Matzi Amar Lei. He could say, Kisratzayilach ba'avira. I agreed to something very thin, just ear. Why? What's the reason? Probably because I don't want the damage of Riyah. I don't want you looking at me. We weren't talking about building something serious that we could build 20-story whatever. I didn't agree to take away from the size of my yard, to get rid of the shimush, the usage of it. All I wanted to is put up a flimsy thing to divide it. Kamash Wallah, no. Again, it's about a wall. Now, we're talking about Hezekriya. Hezekriya, Lashmei Hezek. So we're going to bring 6 different rayas, perhaps, whether or not Hezekriya, the damage caused by looking, is that considered a damage or not? Let's say, I'm thinking now out loud. In America, if you're in a public place, I could take a video of you. There's no, but in a private place, you can't video people. You can't walk in with a camera into a store, let's say, and start taking videos of people. Hezekriya, Simon, Gina, we're going to talk about the garden in the Mishnah, Kaisel, Kaifin, V'cholkin, Chaloinois, the windows, the Rav Nachman. Tashma, V'chem Begina. It says in our Mishnah that when it comes to a yard, there's also the same halacha as I could force you to build different walls. So what do you see? But what is Gina? Gina, why would I put up a wall over there? Putting up a wall, l'chayra, for Hezekriya, that you shouldn't see what I'm doing in the Gina. Says Gemara, Gina Shani, no. A garden is different, and this is also something that we had at the end of Bava Basra. Kiler Baba, Omer Baba, Omer Huna, Omer Rav. Also, La'adam La'amoid Bizdei Chaveroi B'Shah Sheyumez B'Kam Esel. There's an isser to look at your friend's beautiful crop. Why? Because you could cause ayin hara. It's interesting halacha. By you staring and admiring it, and wow, I wish I had such a crop this year, you're causing him an ayin hara. The stipler in Kilos Yankov, I remember when I was a kid, I don't know if it's still like that, you couldn't buy Kilos Yankov in the store, and you would go to the stipler's house. I saw this many times. You go to him and say, I want a Kilos Yankov. What Masechta? I'm Bava Basra. So he would say, you learning Bava Basra or you just want it? I just want it. No, I'm not selling it to you. Only if you learned it and you need it and you said you're going to learn from it, then he would sell you the Sfarim. There's a whole thing to get the whole set. There's a whole shtick. Today, I'm sure you can get the whole thing, no problem. But he has, no, still Adayim Hazeh. Wow, okay. So the stipler asks, could I sue you in Bezdin because you damaged my crop, because you looked at it, you caused an ayin hara? All of a sudden my crop went bad. Probably because you sat there and admired it. I don't know. So, okay, I'm sure he talks about that. But in Yeshiva we were downing in it, only for 2 weeks. That was a small one. Says Gemara. So that's why you put up a wall there. It's a shaila of ayin hara. Again, I told the guy from the ayin hara place, he said he took away my ayin haras with this, and he made a whole video of it, and he was mamish matriach, and I said, I'm going to show it here. And I couldn't open it. I couldn't get to it. So, hope he doesn't give me an hour. So Noam Fix's son said last night, it's the reason you couldn't open it is because you had an ayin hara or something like that. There's ayin hara on the video. Says the Gemara of Chen. It says that the Gina and the Chatzar is the same thing, v'chein. In other words, the problem is the Hezekriya, not the ayin hara part. No, Agil v'gazes, the v'chein, the same halacha that you build a certain way with 6 tvachim, 5 tvachim. That's the same thing. Not the reason. The reason is this: the Gina, the garden, is because of the ayin hara. You see my beautiful vegetables. The Chatz is more of Hezekriya because you see what I'm doing in there. Tashma. When a wall falls down, you build it 4 amas tall. 4 amas, let's say in American standards, would be approximately 8 feet. What does that tell me? If I said you had to build it 5 feet, people could look over a 5-foot wall. 8 feet, even guys in the NBA can't look over an 8-foot wall. So this shows us that the purpose of the wall is what? That people people shouldn't look over. Says Gemara, Nafal Shani. Yeah, if a very tall wall fell down, when you rebuild it the same height. Nothing to do with looking over. Says Gemara, what? Because that's what they decided. It was beautiful. I don't know why. I don't care why. Whatever they decide to build, people build whatever they want to build. But the same way they build it, it had arches in it and different things. It fell, you build it the same way. Why did they build with the arch? I don't know, but that's what they did. They built an 8-foot wall because it's kishmak. So well, then what does you have? If I care, maybe you could bring a right the opposite. Say if it's Liluy. Because it says in the Sefer, you had a wall between neighbors. It was not 8 amas tall, 4 amas tall. It was 8 amas tall, 16 feet tall. No, that much you don't have to do. What do you mean you don't have to do? We're rebuilding what fell down. So you see that the reason why you built the wall is for the Hazagriya. Toshma. So here we have a Beis Shar Ladelis. Oh, maybe we don't. I know, but there's no proof this way or that way. You could say it's for this, you could say for that. I hear. Here's a Beis Shar. So here, you have a door going into the chutzner, but it's on a roadway. So everybody that walks by the door, the opening, could see into my chutzner. So I could force you to build this circular thing around the door. Why? Obviously, so that people passing by cannot look in. It's a protection for Hazagriya. Says the Gemara. Oh, I forgot. Rabbi Stroh was there. That's why I forgot. He was in England also. Shkoyach. And he convinced me to go to Stamford Hill, which was a gewaldige thing. And I'll tell you the story later, but yeah. Yeah, you're right. It is that people shouldn't look in, but there's a lot of people. There's hundreds, there's thousands every day. So that's something I could force you to do. We're talking about an individual looking into my chutzner. Could I force him to make a bechitz? The yachad loy, tashma, and a singular person not. If I want to force my neighbor to divide the yard, I have to have 4 amas for each person. You do divide it. So this is, my lad b'kaisel. What do you mean divide it? With what? With ear? With a wall. Again, we'll show you what mesibas is. This is mesibas. Oops, this guy. A flimsy wall. That's what I could force him to do. No proof from here that I'm building real walls. Toshma, hachaloinos, bein milamalo, bein milamato, bein mikenegdon, ubein mikenegdon, arba amas. When I'm building a wall and there's windows facing the wall, whether the windows are higher up or lower down or exactly even to my wall, I need 4 amas. Take a look at this beautiful picture. Here's a guy. Just showing you what he's doing. Here's a wall. Oh, so if it's a tall wall, then you have to have 4 amas lower. If it's a short wall and he's looking upwards, it's not, but when he's looking upwards, 4. And when you build a wall, it has to be 4 amas away from that guy's wall because you're hurting his sunlight and everything else. You can't build up against the guy's window. So you need 4 amas. But don't Allah. Milamalon kadei shelo yotzitz v'yira, milamatan kadei shelo yamud v'yira. These 2 cases, it says specifically that it's about looking into the window. You don't want him peeking. B'kenegdon kadei shelo yapil. Okay, so that's not important to us. When you're doing a wall next to the window and it's exactly even, it has to be 4 amas away, not to darken the room. Says Gemara, no right from there that it's that hezek mehezek hezek the bayishani. Over there, people do more private things than in a yard. So certainly there's a concern of hezekriya. We're talking about in a yard. Could I force somebody to put up a wall for hezekriya in a yard? Toshma domer of Nachman of Shmuel gaga lechotz chaveroi. Here we have a great picture for this as well. Here, it happens quick, so you got to look. Here, you see this guy right over here with the binoculars? He's up, looking down into. One is a gag, one is a chutzner. Okay, it's not 100%. So I can make you check this out. I can make you build a wall because you're above me, looking down into my chutzner. Gaga samach lechatzar chaveru oisim limake gavoya arba amas. An 8-foot wall. Again, it's about looking. No, over there is slightly different. I know what I'm doing when I go in there. You know when I go in there. How many times do you go on the roof? It's not so common. That's why I can force you to build a wall. But typically speaking, in a chotzer, I don't know that the reason why I can force you to build a wall is because of hezek riyah. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful